Montana to Argentina. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump, or a 10-hour plane ride from Atlanta to Buenos Aires. But all of this travel was very worthwhile, as Montana Angus producers were able to meet with Argentine producers, all with the hopes of creating more genetic trade between Montana and Argentina and enhancing the Angus breed. Hosted and organized by U.S. Livestock Genetics Export Inc. and the Montana Department of Agriculture during May 2022, the trade mission provided Montana ranchers a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to not only build a business relationship, but create lasting friendships, partake in a centennial celebration for the Argentine Angus Association, tour the nation's newest and largest livestock market, learn about the rich culture of the gaucho, understand the challenges South American ranchers face, and we cannot forget about all of the food and drinks we enjoyed during our travels. Truly one of the best parts of the trip. But starting from the beginning, we walked out of the airport in Buenos Aires to fanfare and a marching band. Actually, it was a celebration for a famous boxer who had just returned home. But from there, we made our way through the busy streets of a city of 15 million people and found ourselves in the historic Palermo district, where the Argentine Angus Association was gathered to celebrate their 100-year livestock show. The event had been delayed for 2 years due to COVID-19 and was truly one for the history books. And throughout our week in Argentina, we felt very welcomed by all of the participants at the livestock show and out in the countryside. And we very much appreciated the Olera family with the El Salillo Angus Ranch for hosting us during our travels. But as for the stock show, it was truly impressive.
They say it's once in a lifetime historic, so they have over 850 animals registered for the show from 120 different ranches from all over Argentina.
Yeah, it's been exciting to kind of see the program and looking at the cattle as they come in the ring down here. You can see a lot of consistency in things, even with U.S. breeding, so I can see why, you know, Argentines have been looking towards the United States for some, you know, background genetics. But it's exciting, you know. One thing that we really never thought of, I guess, before is moving our genetics or potentially looking at selling some genetics down to Argentina. But, you know, they have a lot of like-minded cattle down here.
These folks like moderate frame cattle that are soft rib and real functional kind of cattle that'll go out there and live on some grass and kind of get it done. And I think we offer that up there in Montana, and they're real even cattle down here. You don't see any real extremes, and yeah, I really enjoy looking at what they offer down here.
The Montana Department of Agriculture's marketing director, Weston Merrill, led the trade mission. Being fluent in Spanish and a rancher himself made him an invaluable tool in connecting cattle producers from Argentina and the U.S. And there's no doubt, Weston Merrill is the most famous American in South America.
Weston, he does a great job. He's very good, and we're fortunate to have him. And we want to thank the Montana Department of Agriculture for allowing this to happen. And they've got a great guy in command there, Weston Merrill.
And he's spent here, the relationships he's made, the contacts, he literally is admired here by these people. And the organization of this deal has just been great. The people have been fantastic. The hospitality, it's been a very good trip to be on.
It was very clear Montana Angus genetics were not new to Argentina.
Montana Angus genetics have played an important role in Argentina. Several very popular ranches have used Montana genetics for a long time with very good results here in Argentina.
Seeds, Lichman, Coleman, Stevenson is in Montana, Stevenson Basin, Garden of the Snow, many ranches.
Bueno, empezó la cabaña
It was actually in 1990 is the first time I went to Montana. And from that visit, I really loved the way that the producers in Montana worked. I loved the way that they used EPDs, and from that visit really is what gave us the fire and inspired us to work the way we do.
Seeing the Angus cattle on the countryside, it was evident that Argentine Angus producers have been incorporating genetics into their herds to maximize performance.
This is something that's very important. We've brought genetics from Scotland, and that kind of started the revolution into quality of meat that we brought and started producing in Argentina. And then we moved on to incorporating the technical side from the U.S. and the genetics from the U.S. that have allowed us to have good bloodlines in Argentina.
They're very similar in type and our program, and like theirs, they're trying to breed cattle that can go work anywhere and prosper. They're using proven genetics, which is good to see. They're not just jumping on the latest fashion. They're waiting to see what a bull or cow will do and use that. That's good to see.
They're really the kind of cattle I like anyhow. They're soft rib kind of cattle, and they certainly work in a lot of environments. It's just great country, great people.
People here are really working hard on their genetics, their programs, and I appreciate that, and they really respect ours, and I think we need to show some respect back.
I admire very much the breeders in Montana. They do a very good job, and they work in very hard conditions. I would really love to see them come to Argentina and see how we work, and that someday, when the phytosanitary restrictions are lifted, that our genetics would end up in Montana.
Throughout our travels in Argentina, it felt at times as if we were still at home from the sights and smells of the stock show and being out on a ranch, but at the same time, seeing and experiencing things we did not expect to come across. The hospitality of the Argentina Angus Association was exceptional, and their grand finale banquet was something I'd never experienced. But they do tend to start their festivities late at night and carry on until daybreak. That's something this Montana cowboy was not prepared for, and I went to bed early. That's because we ventured out of the city of Buenos Aires and found ourselves in Cañuelas at the newest livestock marketing center in Argentina.
The auctioneer rides around on the back of a golf cart, and all the buyers stand on the catwalk. And so speeds things up quite a bit. Yeah, it's a pretty efficient system. Yeah, today they went through 8,000 head in 3 hours, and they're doing that 4 days a week, hoping to get to 5 days a week.
The Mercado Agroganadero had only been open for 2 weeks the day of our tour stop and only sells slaughter and cull cattle. It was originally located in the city of Buenos Aires, surrounded by a population of over 15 million people. Now, to purchase cattle, buyers must be licensed, and the fast-paced sale is much different than U.S. cattle markets.
I have a feeling, no, our weather conditions would not hold up to this kind of facility, or the buyers, per se, would not be able to sit back and have a cup of coffee while they were buying. Watching these buyers run basically from one pen to the next to be able to buy when the bell is rung was pretty impressive, and not something you see every day for sure.
The capacity and the way it's just set up and long runs and very impressive.
Sustainability, both financially and environmentally, is a top priority for the market through the ecological treatment of waste, composting, and generation of biogas to generate power being integrated into its design. It also allows for fast and efficient cleaning of the facility.
They're really wanting to make everything better for the livestock, better for the people. They're just doing such a phenomenal job with that sustainability and going forward, moving forward with the industry. A lot of people need to see how this facility here actually really works.
The day of our visit, feeder cattle averaged around $1.50 per pound in U.S. currency. It was also a shock to discover that the cattle are weighed after they are sold. There are also over 2,300 pens that hold cattle in the new facility, and it sits on over 270 acres. Additional infrastructure for meat markets, exhibition and fair space, and agribusiness offices will also be built on the development site.
Definitely an eye-opener, definitely something to see.
While the state-of-the-art auction facility was truly awe-inspiring, rural communities in Argentina still rely on local livestock markets to sell cattle, just like we do here in the States. The other day we stopped by one of the newest livestock markets in the world, marketing 8,000 to 12,000 head of cattle per day, and just cull and slaughter cattle. And here we're at a local livestock market very similar to what we see in the United States, even though it's more of a grandstand where buyers and sellers sit, and also more of an opportunity for local communities to come together that are selling pairs, having bull sales, production sales as well. One thing that is very interesting is seeing cobblestones in the sale ring. We caught up with our friend Manuel, who shares more about the importance of these livestock marketing centers here in Argentina to their rural communities.
Here we have 3 or 4 auctions per month. Also, we have a big show a year that is the first days of September, where we can bring our cattle and show it. Here the facilities are great for us, so we can bring, when we have any animals in our ranch, we can bring it here and we sell it from here. So it's a proud for us for having this kind of auction, and it's like a kind of cooperative auction, a cooperative place. So well, we are proud about it. It helps the small producers that maybe they can't get full a truck and send it to the MAG, to Cañuelas, that you have been there. So this helps the small producer for selling their cattle.
As we stretched our legs in the countryside, it was clear that ranchers in Argentina face very similar challenges as we do in the United States. In particular, sharing our story of sustainable agricultural production and educating consumers about where their food comes from.
Making people in cities know more about ranches, about producing, about environment, about that we are keeping in touch with nature, and that we take care about nature. That's really important because sometimes people in the city thinks that when we work in ranch, the only thing what we are looking for are getting money, and it's not just that. We really take care about the environment. We work very hard in having moderate cattle, because most of our cows, maybe it's different how we produce in Argentina than in Montana. In Montana you have snow, so in winter you have to take the cows near the ranches and feed them. For us, no. In winter we can keep the cows outside. We don't have the problem of snow, but we used to have problem of having not much grass. So having more moderate animals let us not feeding animals during the winter, and we have good rentals with that.
You probably have already noticed by now that there are red and black Angus cattle included throughout this story. That's because the Argentine Angus Association represents both breeds. And during our trip, we didn't just look at registered cattle, we also had the opportunity to learn more about their commercial herds.
This is a typical commercial cattle in Argentina that owners are looking for improve it with Angus bulls. They are looking more maternal with maternal condition, better quality of the meat, and that's why this is the places where the Angus is working hard and where they do the best, no?
They also use a lot of electric fence in Argentina and have come up with some very ingenious ways to be able to pass from pasture to pasture without even having to open a gate.
Esa carretera tan linda que hay.
No.
On this trip, I felt like a tourist that had just come to Montana and was attending their first rodeo and just met a cowboy, in terms of getting to meet real-life gauchos who are hard at work on these impressive ranches.
The rope's made out of baling twine. It's not the best, but they braided it and put it together that way, and it works well. So, and los pantalones de cuero. Guardamonte. Para protegerse de... Yeah, so I just asked him about the chaps, guardamonte, and it keeps them just like ours, protects you from the brush and keeps you clean and whatnot. So. Yep. So when they're working in the corral and stuff, it keeps them protected and clean.
Have them show us how they tie on hard.
Con estructura, digamos, y cuando lazamos algo tenemos para atar. Si vas a lazar algo, so he just ties off hard to that ring right there, and then when he ropes something, he's tied off hard. Yeah.
They're expensive, but this one we use it as
Walking into the tack room, it was clear that all the gear that gauchos have looks very similar to what ranchers and cowboys have in the United States, other than their saddles look more like pack saddles with a cushion and big, thick sheepskin rug on top. And when presented the opportunity to mount up in one of these saddles, we didn't pass it up. And and I will admit, this is probably the most comfortable saddle I have ever ridden. From their baggy pants, boinas on their heads to their tough and rugged feet, a gaucho was raised receiving little education except for the lessons learned horseback and the traditions handed down to them from generations before. And just like the American cowboy, the values of respect and hard work were the core of their creed. Though we didn't understand each other's words, a firm handshake while looking at each other in the eye was all that was needed to understand each other. The gaucho, South America's cowboy. From the start of our trip, the Olara family had opened their arms to us at the stock show and also in the countryside on their family ranch. And not only has the family been purchasing Montana Angus genetics since the early 1990s, they also have an academic connection to the Big Sky State through Montana State University.
When I was finishing university here in Argentina, I really wanted to go and have an experience in another place. And when I asked in my university where I could go, Montana came there, and I thought it was an excellent opportunity for me to go live six months there and see how ranchers produce their cattle, how they raise their cattle, and well, also live the experience of living there in Montana. And it was an excellent choice for me. I had a great time there.
Welcome! I'm very happy you stay here with us, with my family.
Gracias.
De nada!
It doesn't matter if you're a farmer or rancher in the United States or in Argentina. When you meet another agricultural producer, there's an automatic connection and friendship that is established just based on the work ethic that all of us have been raised with and the respect for livestock and land. And while there was a language barrier, we understood each other. And one thing about farmers and ranchers, we know how to take care of each other, especially at the kitchen table, whether that's in the house or outside in a beautiful landscape.
It's a familiar place, so it's a pleasure for us that people come here and see how we produce, but the center thing is we are a family and we work all together.
And we were truly treated like family. It's an experience that none of us will ever forget. At the conclusion of the trade mission, it was evident that the relationship between Angus producers in Montana and Argentina was stronger than ever. In fact, a delegation made up of Argentine producers is scheduled to travel to Montana in the spring of 2023 to further that trade opportunity.
I think both of us, like the US and also us in Argentina, we have really good things. So the exchange of genetics it's really important. Like you gave us like really we brought from the US genetics of really important bulls that make here a really good job. And I think here in Argentina we have really good bulls that will also help a lot there in the US. So I think we should have a really open and fluid exchange of genetics between both countries.
Bueno, y a Montana por años hemos traído magnífica genética de allí.
For years we've brought real quality genetics from Montana, and maybe it's time now for Montana to come look at the good things we've done and do some business. Thank you very much. No, thank you very much. Very thankful. I really respect and look up to the United States. It's a country that has shown with lots of hard work and dedication you can achieve a lot, and hopefully we can do the same.
It brings to mind the quote, "Agriculture is our wisest pursuit because it will, in the end, contribute most to wealth, good morals, and happiness. That was a letter penned by Thomas Jefferson to George Washington in 1787, and those words still ring true today. It doesn't matter if you are a farmer or rancher in the United States or Argentina. We want to provide for our families, take care of our livestock and land, and help feed the world.